Talking about marriage, I am reminded of this funny story. People were gathered in a church for morning worship, but the devil himself, in first person, walked into their midst down the aisle. Horror stricken, almost everyone ran out of the church except for an old man who sat in the pew unmoved, reading a book. The devil approached him and asked, "Do you know who I am?" "Yes, of course," said the old man. "You are the devil." Taken aback by the dispassionate answer, the devil spoke again. "Do you know why all these people got scattered at my sight?" "Because they were afraid of you," came the ready answer. "You know," the devil continued, "I could cause you some real physical and spiritual harm if I wished. But tell me, why are you not afraid of me?" "Because," said the old man, looking straight into the devil's face, "for the past 48 years, I've been living with your sister." There may be many jokes on marriage and marriage alliances about husbands and wives. But the mythical story of the book of Genesis is not a joke. It is the narration of a truth and a mystery about man-woman relationship. There are actually two stories of creation in the book of Genesis, of which we heard read the second one today. God fashions man out of the dust of the earth and breathes life into his nostrils. God's breath is man's life. There is a spark of the divine in every man and woman. God creates the first man and places him in the garden. He is the only human in the whole of God's creation. To relieve him of his loneliness, God wants to give him a helper. First, he had created all the beasts and birds of the air and presented them to the man, who had named them one by one. But he does not call any one of them a helper. It is then that God makes man fall into a deep sleep and takes something out of him. He enfleshes what he has taken, and a new creature comes into being, a woman. The original man, who was one, now becomes two creatures. He recognizes his helper. This one, at last, is the bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. He names her woman. Then the author of the book adds, "That is why a man leaves his father and mother and joins himself to his wife, and they become one body." Marriage recaptures this mystery of God's creation in which two individuals become one human body. This is the original vision of unity and completion to which Jesus invites the attention of his hearers. Some Pharisees ask if it is against the law for a man to divorce his wife. They quoted the law of Moses. The law allowed a man to divorce after giving the woman a writ of dismissal, which gave her the right to remarry. But what the law did not settle was under what circumstances a divorce was legal. Divorce in the Jewish society was always a man's prerogative. There were two schools of law in Israel, Shammai and Hillel. The strict school of Shammai said the only ground for divorce was adultery, while the school of Hillel gave room for any trivial reason to effect a divorce. A man could divorce his wife if he spoiled a dish for him. Divorces were so common in Jesus' time that marriage offered little security for a woman. So Jesus had a clear message for the Jewish society of his day and for the families of all time. In his answer, Jesus recalls God's original plan revealed in the book of Genesis. He does not question the validity of the law of Moses, but tells them that it was a concession to human sinfulness. God has joined man and woman in an indissoluble bond. God's original intention of completing one body out of two individuals is the norm for every marriage. It is a serious, lifelong commitment. Neither the woman nor the man is a disposable possession for the other. The call of Jesus jars against the culture of our times. And naturally, we can't help feeling a sense of shame. The sacred bond of marriage keeps collapsing easily in our Catholic families as never before today. Dysfunctional families are dime a dozen around us. The statistics available are too scary and the victims are too many. Their wounds and the scars are being carried to the next generation. In this world of uncertainty, Jesus calls us back to the original plan of God and to the root of the marital commitment. He is not imposing idealism on us, but asking us to return to a life of loyalty to God's original plan. Marriage is often a union of love within the collision of expectations. The spouses come to realize that the other is not another God, but one in whom I struggle to find the imperfect image of the love of God. They are sacraments of God's active love for each other, even when their expectations of one another do not meet. Marriage can never be a casual experiment for two adventurous people. The marriage bond is a sacrament, meaning that spouses are united in love as Christ to his church. It is the realization of the original plan of God in which a man and a woman become one body, never to be separated. We then need to catch up with our beginnings.